Hey guys, what's up? Quick update. So we got the Shadow of War review out. Check that out if you haven't seen it already. Next one we're working on is South Park. And then after that, I hope to get into Mortal Empires and review that. I was waiting for the Mortal Empires update so that I could do the Total Warhammer 2 review. So a lot of games this month. So please be patient as we put out other content, some Let's Plays, some promotionals, some movie reviews in the meantime. And the first one up is one that I'm really excited about, and I want you guys to watch, is how to play Total War Warhammer. Bit of a spoiler here. I love the game, and I think you should buy it. So check out this video, and in order to make the game a little less intimidating to jump into, I kind of show you what to do. Okay, guys? So stay tuned for plenty more reviews and more content, and I will see you in the next Angry Joe Show. Hey guys, welcome to this promotional video on how to play Total Warhammer 2. This is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I've shown tough love, I've shown praise. This video, I want this to serve as your entry point into the Total War universe, and I don't want this game to intimidate you. Over the years, the tutorials have gotten so good that I think at this point, any of you can play. Just like I did for XCOM, a lot of you still come up to me, Joel, I'm so glad you turned me on to XCOM. Let this be the gateway into turning on Total War for you and becoming a strategy fan. It is way simpler now. It is in a universe that is just so rich with lore and warfare. You're going to love it, right? So I'm going to show you how to get started. I'm going to start with a new campaign. You could do historic battles, stuff like that, but we're going to start with the actual experience, the campaign. I mean, each one of these legendary lords is a completely different experience. You have 4 different races. The High Elves, fucking lizardmen, dinosaurs. That should be enough alone for you anyway, controlling T-Rexes and Triceratopses and watching them do all this carnage. It's amazing. The fucking Dark Elves that, you know, have slaves and they love the carnal pleasures. I mean, look at this chick, she's sexual, it's crazy, man. They kill people and they take slaves. And then we've got the fucking Ratmen, which they added. It's one of the starting races, and they spread like the plague. They have very cheap units, crappy units, but it's about quantity over quality, and it's a crazy experience. But we're gonna go with the most traditional experience of the game, the closest to the humans. And I worry that this game might turn people off because there's no humans. Just go Elven, High Elves, and you'll be good. If it's your first time ever playing, make sure that this is checked, this campaign introduction. It will literally take you by the hand and walk you step by step on how to move the camera, how to do all that. And over the years, in 2017, this is probably the easiest way to play Total War. But we're going to go ahead and uncheck that because I'm going to guide you through it. So these are 2 different experiences. You have 2 brothers here, the guy that loves magic and the guy that's more hands-on, right? The guy that loves magic, he's got a hard way of it. He's in a completely different part of the map and he's got a lot to deal with, but he's got so many cool powers on the battlefield that you could do. But we're going to go with the more traditional guy, right? So we'll go ahead and start the campaign. Now, one of the things that the sequel does that the original didn't that I appreciate is it adds this sort of storyline to it, and these cutscenes play out through these painted, really great artistry within the Warhammer lore, and there is a twist towards the end, so it's interesting, it's cool. I'm glad that it's put in here. Now, as the High Elves, we are sort of like the Lord of the Ring elves. We're all high and mighty, hoity-toity, fucking divas, and we own this island. This island is home to a vortex, and the vortex keeps the forces of chaos at bay, the demons from pouring into our world, and we sort of control that. But there's 3 other races now in the world that wants to control that vortex as well, and we've got to hold them back. We got to unite the elves together as one and hold them back. So I'm going to skip that so you guys can enjoy that on your own. And we're going to do some loading screens. So in this game, you're going to have to put up with loading screens just because it's almost like 2 different games you're playing. You're playing the real-time strategy battles, and you're playing the campaign strategic map. And when you go between those 2 screens, you'll have a loading screen. But I'd recommend to put this game on like a solid-state drive, and you'll see that the load times are absolutely nothing to worry about. And with faster machines, you don't have to worry about it. but it's one thing that you do have to deal with on slower machines, but I guarantee you it's freaking worth it, because look at this. Look at how beautiful the campaign map is. I love it. And this is what you're mostly going to be seeing. Now, it's intimidating at first, right? And this is why I want to make this video, to show you how easy and simple it is. So they show you here with the High Elves, you have 3 very distinct things that you can do. You earn a special resource called Influence, and you use that influence to manipulate other races on the map, even your own High Elves, to fight each other, or, in my opinion, the best way to play the Elves, and how I play them, is I use it to get as many trade agreements I can with everybody, and then I generate dirty ass money, so much money that I'm like the best and I'm unstoppable. And you can see here the treasury is at the top. That's one of the most important things. And then finally, if I get trade agreements, which this ties into my strategy, I get espionage, which allows me to see everything, their entire territory, and all I have to do is a trade agreement. So it allows me to, it's like a cheat code to see the whole map, right? So that is the High Elves, and they're pretty flexible, and they've got some really badass units, especially armored up high tier units later on in the tree. So this is early game. I'm going to show you how to start. Let's go ahead and hit that. Now, what's great about the Total War games over the years is they sort of simplified it without removing a lot of the strategy. And what we have here is specific goals for you. So if you're ever in doubt on what to do, you just do the next mission. And as you play, you're going to go through some of these missions naturally. So here, they're telling us that the Dark Elves are right next to us. They're fucking Druki. And they've taken a region, and we need to take it back. Taking it back will give us way fragments. And we need to find way fragments all across this map to complete 5 different rituals, and then a final battle, and we win the game. The rituals control this sort of vortex here, like I said, that holds back the forces of chaos. And you can get those by completing missions or controlling territories that have these glowing areas to them that'll generate a bunch of automatic resources. There's one right there, and just because I know it, there's one back over here, and so you got to do that. So look at this big ass map, and again, don't let this intimidate you, okay? Don't feel like that, you know, some of these things last several days, and that's the fun of it. But it's like separate games. Early game is like its own game, mid game is like, and then late game is different. So we want to take control of this entire island, and it's not just us here. As you can see, all these little cities are different individual high elf factions, but trust me, so as long as you stick to my plan, they're going to respect you so much that they're going to want to join you automatically and be friends with you, and eventually form confederations. I'll show you that mid-game. So our first objective is to go and attack these guys, right? Well, how do you attack? You go ahead and you select these little military units that have banners. It shows you exactly what you have in them and what you could do. So as you see, your cursor turns into a sword. That means that you can attack them. It'll initiate war if you're not at war already. But as you can see, these little red clashing swords means I'm already at war with these guys. And why? Well, because if you click on a city, you'll see this pop-up happens, right? There's 3 different territories within this province. And what you want is you want to own the entire province. You don't want to just own one piece, because then you're not getting the bonus. The bonus are these commandments that basically give you, like, you know, bonuses to growth, money, better heroes, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and take the tower. Oh, no, the glittering tower here. So we're going to take this army and we're going to attack. Orion. Now, you got a pre-battle screen here that shows you what forces. Now, usually when your bar is this far over, you just want to go ahead and auto-resolve. Definitely in mid and late game, you want to be doing that. But since it's early, I like to play as many battles as possible. And this will give me an opportunity to show you the other big part of the game, and why I love this franchise so much is the real-time battles. And you get to zoom in and see all the little dudes fighting each other. So here you have a breakdown of what units. Here's all the statistical overlay. You just hover over it. We've got more units and better units, I believe, than he does. And here you'll see the terrain. It's mostly an open field, so we don't need to worry too much about that. But high ground is really important. trees help shield against, you know, arrows. So there's lots of different tactics that you can do. Okay, guys, so here we are in our first real-time battle, and this is what I love about this series so much. You can zoom in and see all the chaos. It's so fucking good. All right, so this is your deployment phase. When you see these highlighted areas, you can essentially move your whole army around and, you know, basically put them into different places. So I can move them here, move them there, move them there. But in general, I just keep them towards the middle. Now, what I like to do is right away, I'll bundle my archers, control 1, and I'll throw my archers out in front in a sort of shallow line so you can get as many people firing in the front as possible. So I don't think that matters much anymore. Then I'll put my, my basically melee guys. And then we get our specialists. These are artillery. And our heavies, this hawk here, and then my hero, I want him smack dab in the middle so that you see that he's got an area of an influence that inspires troops next to him, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that battle button, and we see our enemy direct ahead. So if you sort of hold your cursor over this, you'll see that these guys are already in range and ready to fire. So I'm going to go ahead and let them start firing. The enemy is coming towards us. And it's so cool because these guys will talk and they'll do their little speeches. So here we are, and you can think of it Lord of the Rings style. These are the orcs. These are the elves that are so fucking badass and powerful. Okay, so we're going to hover. So there goes our archers. Our archers are opening up. So when the enemy moves towards you, in most cases, that means they're confident that they're going to win. I think sort of in early game, the first few battles, the AI is sort of told to approach you so that you can get used to fighting and understanding, so you can kind of hang back here. But if the enemy army thinks that you're more powerful than them, they'll probably stay back and force you to come to them, is usually how it works. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically doing as much damage as possible. So we pretty much routed that unit. They've taken such heavy losses. You can see the bar at the top of their screen there. They've taken so much losses that now they're retreating. And these guys are almost at half health right now. But you see, they're charging my artillery, and we don't want to do that. So I went ahead and double-clicked so that we can get some charge bonuses up in here. And we can watch these guys clash. I always love doing this. So cool, right? All right, and then what you're going to want to do is I actually take some of my heavies. If I'm confident that I'm going to win here, which I am, then I'll take my heavies or your cavalry, run them along the sides, and attack their missile troops. So their missile troops can no longer harass you. And oh my gosh, this bird is so freaking awesome. Phoenix! And in this game, because it's not historical, you know, like some of the previous games, you've got a lot of cool, interesting things that you can do. So as this particular unit flies, let's see if I can get them to fly. Sometimes they're occupied. Just knocks those fools over. But if we get her to fly, come on, take some flight. Take flight. There you go. Okay, so now, as they're in flight, you see this little button here. I can use little abilities. So a lot of units have this, and this is you micromanaging stuff now. But for sort of monster units like that, they've got a lot of that you can go ahead and get some extra bonuses in. So yeah, we've pretty much routed the enemy. It was super easy. Oh, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get the hero into battle because he does so much damage and he just cuts through people like nothing. So you're definitely going to want to do that. And plus, he's going to get circles here that will allow him to do stuff. And see, I basically flanked the enemy right there. That's also going to give a bonus. If you come in from the side or behind, it's going to give a bonus to that. So now I'll take both of the archer units and have them support my spearmen. You can hover your mouse over this to see little details about what's happening. So we got spear infantry. They're still eager. They're sustaining damage right now, and they're a little tired, but tired, not a big deal. What is the biggest deal is at the bottom there. They're in melee, and they're winning. And if we hover over them, we see they are shattered. Their army is lost. They're very tired, and they're routing. So that little screen that popped up says, end of the battle. In most cases, you want to hit end battle unless you're really pissed off at the AI and they did something fucked up. You just want to slaughter everybody or take out a hero or a monster unit to ensure that they die. But you can most times, once their army retreats in this state, and I'll show you, then you can follow up and attack them again, which will obliterate them. So now that we've won our battle, we're back on the campaign map, and let me teach you early game economy. Really, the three things that you need to be worrying about for your economy is how much gold you have. As a high elf, it's really easy to get gold. Just focus on trade agreements, like I told you, and you'll just have tons and tons of money. Over here on growth, it's a number that you can get. Certain building types will give you growth, like say, for example, this infrastructure, little sort of homestead will give you growth, plus 18. And that will grow and grow and grow, and it'll show you how many turns until you get the next population point. What do you use population points on? Upgrading your capitals. You see these little things that are floating? The hammers? That says, oh, we got a population point and you can upgrade something. Well, remember, one of our missions here was to enhance our capital, building an Elven village. So we'll go ahead and do that. This is the Elven village. Okay, so we're working on that. And then there's the ones that don't float or pulsate. And that's just telling that you could build something here. And so as long as you have money, you don't need a population point for it. You just build it. So what I like to do is I like to keep the military all in the capital, right? So I'll work on the military there. And those units will go to these other territories, and you don't need to do anything for that. So all you need for these are monies, right? And they've got it nicely here into different categories. This is just landmarks, special buildings that can give you, you know, wayfare points for winning the game and other different bonuses. There's your military, but I'm going to make all the military units in this bigger city over here. And then you've got advanced military. That's where your sort of, you know, flying units and big beefy units and dragons and stuff like that are at. Then there's defense. I wouldn't build any defense unless it's a choke point of the map or it's a city that's constantly getting attacked. I would just ignore defense. And then there's the infrastructure. This is the most important. You're going to want to make sure that you have at least one of each of these building types in a province, right? So initially, if you look here, this province has no real infrastructure. So which infrastructure do we want to start with? Both of these are going to generate money for us. We've got the craftsman, generates 100 monies and a little bit of trinkets. Over here, it's 60 monies in public order. Well, I'm not too concerned about public order because I know that that negative is going to disappear. So if I was building money, I would go with Elven Craftsman. But because I know that I'm just going to build at least one homestead each province, I'm going to start with the homestead over there.
Champion of the Evergreen.
All right, so here is the skill tree for our hills, and don't let this intimidate you at all. It's super easy, right? You just hover your mouse over it and read it and see if you like it or not. I always start with Route Marcher because it's campaign movement range, and that's super important when you're in battles and you just want to attack the enemy in as few turns as possible so he gets there quicker. So I start with that almost always. Okay. And now the button is clear, this end turn button. It says there's no more for us to worry about. So you look over and see, is there anything else I want to do? And then you move on. In this case, there is. I just want to talk to you about some of these other things. So as I said before, you got 5 buttons. You got the objectives. The objective is essentially do 5 rituals and then the final battle, and you win. The rituals are tricky because each time you do a ritual, chaos is going to show up on the map and attack your cities. So you have to make sure that you're ready before you start a ritual. That's key. All right, moving on to diplomacy.
Relations with foreign powers.
Okay, now, so it'll show you every race that you can see so far or that you've met so far, right? So we've met 4 different high elf factions. Kalador, which do not like us. They're pissed off with us. So the 2 things you need to care about here are their attitudes and their strength. we're about equal strength against each other. But for whatever reason, they're unfriendly with us. They don't like us. But look here. These guys are very friendly and improving. They love us. So off to the right, we've got friends. Off to the left, we got enemies. Let's talk to these friends right now. Let's go initiate diplomacy, add a offer, and trade agreements. That's the key to victory for Key Elves. It'll just increase your economy so easily through gold. So I start with a non-aggression pact just to see what they'll say.
If you wish.
Accepted, right? So then I move on to the trade agreement, and that's going to generate us 58 gold, both of us, extra.
Very well.
And he accepted. Now, again, because we're a high elf, we get that espionage bonus, and we get to see everything that they see, or that their territory, as if we had an army over there. And what I know here is that up into the north here, you've got the fucking Vikings, the Northmen, the frickin' chaos worshipping assholes, and they're gonna eventually crash into our high elf island. One of my games, these guys lost, and I had to swing around and then just basically obliterate all the chaos worshipping cities over there. It was super annoying, but it gives you more map awareness. All right, but our objective right now should be to grab our first province and then grab another province and another province with the armies that we have. So first, this stands in our way. We've got one more territory to capture. So let's build up our army, and let's get 3 more of those units for 5 total spearmen and 5 total archers. Now, the best units in the game, are those are pretty low tier units. You're gonna want Sea Guard because they can do both missile and spear, and then later on get them shields, so they're even better. These are all-purpose units that are pretty good in my opinion until the later tier units. But since it's early game, we'll just do our business with the standard army. Okay, all right. Technology won't come about until you have the right buildings for it. Trade advancements is going to show up with our Elven embassy, and we need a rally field to start with that technology. So we'll wait on that. So everything looks good. We're going to go ahead and end our turn, and we're going to see all the different factions in the game. There's a ton. Again, don't let that intimidate you, because a lot of those people are fighting themselves, having their own storylines in the background, and a lot of them you're going to see are going to die out, and you'll see the beasts ride to the top. All right, so we got some units trained. This is the breakdown. It shows you all those 3 units that we got. And we got the homestead ready to go. 2 more turns on that.
Shield against the darkness.
So we're just going to let those units build up here. End the turn one more time. Now, I'm pretty sure our Dark Elf brothers are going to send an army at us. There they are, all right? Because we've got 2 cities, but one of them is undefended. Our capital is undefended. So he's going to crash into the capital. We don't want that to happen. So what you would probably, if you're rookie, what you probably do is you put your army over into the capital. Problem is, he's going to slam into this undefended city here, right? So you've got an issue there. So, well, what do you do if you've got 2 cities and only 1 army and you've got an incoming thing and you don't want them to take anything from you? Well, it's called area of control. So I'm going to move my army right here. See this little pass here, and if I hover my mouse over him, you see that he's got an area of control, which means now this Dark Elf army cannot pass my army unless they, go around, and then I'll be able to just easily defend. So let's see. His army's pretty big, 11 out of 12 units. I've got 13, so hopefully I should be able to hold out, and that will defend both these cities. But make sure you're not surprised by, any neighbors if you're doing something like this. But this is a good strategy early on in the game. So we're going to end the turn. He's probably going to slam into us. Yep. Now, for the purposes of this, I'm going to auto-resolve, and I hope we're going to win. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take direct control and make sure that you win this battle. So, auto-resolve. close victory. It cost us a lot of soldiers. Not as great of a victory as we've had before. We lost several units. You see it here in gray. But I'm going to go ahead and slaughter, execute all the captives so that I can give all the surviving units additional experience. And he's going to run off like a little bitch. You can chase him down and actually obliterate the army. But because it was such a close victory, I'm not sure if I want to take the chance.
Ridiculous.
Actually,
Of the Evergreen. Tyrion, heir of an Aryan.
I'm going to do it.
One.
Yep, there you go. So, if the enemy army retreats like that and you're confident that you have more units, just go over there and slaughter them. You'll get a lot of loot. Look at that. An additional 1,000. Look at all that experience. And they get even more experience. Oh, that was beautiful. The carnage. All right, so we're going to have him come back over here. All right, so we won our initial war there, and our goal is to still take on the Tower of Lysian so that we can basically gain a full province under our control. And because we did so well in battle, we can add another skill point. What I like to do, because I'm obsessed with gold when I play the High Elves, is bonded service. Because look, -3 cost, -8 cost, -15 cost. And so the soldiers under your command cost less. So I like to do that next. So I have lots of monies. Let's go ahead and go in diplomacy and look to see if we can get any more people to be our friends. So we've seen a little bit more High Elves now. Lyrion, they don't hate us. Our relations with them are improving. Why? Well, because we're fighting Dark Elves, and they're our hated enemies. So let's see if they'll do a non-aggression pact with us. Oh, we got exactly what we wanted. Said, oh, you want an aggression? Well, hell, let's trade. Hell yeah. So you're going to want to test people out. As an early High Elf, get as many trade contracts as you can. In my opinion, these are our brothers. Even though they're pissed at us, just try to get their relations as high as possible, and eventually we're going to try to confederate. Some of them may never want to be your friend, though. These guys are pretty pissed at us, but they're improving. So how do we get them to like us? Well, we're going to use some influence, right, in this screen, find them on this screen, and then improve relations. But it costs us 3, and we only have 2. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our additional soldiers. Didn't expect that, but it's a really small, pathetic force that they're reinforcing their town, but I like that they are reinforcing their town. Now, this is on normal. As you crank up the difficulty, they get harder and harder, smarter and smarter. They probably wouldn't throw away those soldiers.
The
They'd probably keep
annals
it
of
there.
the White Tower tell of how key waystones.
All right, so here he's just telling us that if we can come over here and grab sort of a new mechanic in the game, explore ruins and cities, you can get different items for your heroes. You can find things, go on little adventures. It's yet another addition to this sequel that's really, really good. Another thing is you can drive around with heroes in the sea and find these little places. Go to these mysterious islands and get tons and tons of money, which I highly recommend that you do. All right, but we're ready to assault and get our first province.
Attack!
Full province.
No
I'm
mercy.
going to simulate this since we pretty much, for purposes to make this video faster, and occupy.
For Alaria, my queen.
And we've killed the enemy hero, and we've completed that mission, and we're getting more and more missions. And now my guy's level 5, 6 already, just doing amazing. So this is a great start for the Elven campaign. We own all the straits, and now we get to come over here and do commandants. We can either get Untainted. That's if we're dealing with chaos, vampires, and Skaven. I'm not dealing with any of that. Additional military experience for our units now. We're winning left and right, and I always kill my captives to give my units experience already. Here, negative cost to buildings and faster growth, or more monies, or better heroes. I'm going to go with lower construction costs and higher growth. But first, we're going to go and explore this little
Alario.
treasure hunting, which is a new thing that they added. All right. So we can colonize or we can treasure hunt. We're going to treasure hunt. Gives you a little story here, right? I love these things. So as you search through the remains of a collapsed colonnade, cries for help echo through the rubble. People are trapped beneath. Although their welfare is of little interest, they may be of some use. Do you order that the area be cleared and the survivors freed, leave them to die beneath the fallen masonry, or perhaps pursue another course of action? So these things can lead to good and bad things. So in my case, I'm feeling generous. Let's try to help them. One good turn. Your retainers get to work moving much of the rubble, but by the time you get to the bodies, it's already too late. God damn it! I don't get something cool. That was the wrong decision. I should have just, went on. And you can cheat here, by the way, if you want to. Go back one turn and get what you want.
At your service.
Okay. So now let me show you the hero mechanic. So we can recruit a hero here. And we've got 13 influence, and we only need 10 influence to get one of the good ones. This guy's exclusive or elusive, and this guy's trained. Speed or melee attack. I'm going to probably be using them mostly in armies. So for him to have a charge bonus in melee, that's the guy I'm going to go with.
Standing by.
All right. Now, what this guy does is, he can either replenish your troops if he moves with armies. He can increase trade routes and make them more profitable. He can sort of gain influence for you. Assassinate other heroes is the one that I think is the most useful, because mid game everybody's throwing shit at you and you hate them, so you just assassinate them and stab them and stuff. So I'm just gonna add him to my army. In this case, he can replenish the troops faster after they take losses.
I will share my experience.
So he's going to run over there on his own. Going to make sure we're researching archery, because that's what I use a lot. Next thing we're going to want to do is think about performing a rite. A rite is another new mechanic that they've added to the game. There's 4 rites that you can choose from.
My prince.
And they are right here. So for the cost of 2,000 monies, and we are flush with money, 16,000, so we can definitely do it. What do we get? Well, we get +2 influence per turn, negative construction costs, and public order in all of our provinces. So that's definitely a good one. We need that influence as a high elf, so we can do our machinations in the court. The next step is uniting the Elven clans into confederations. So as you get stronger and stronger and make more armies by recruiting lords, in this case here we can recruit this princess. It's going to cost us 15 influence. We can do that. She's really good with missile troops, which I like. Go ahead and recruit her. It's kind of cool to have a female general as well. So she's our second army. I'm going to tell her to go to the capital and give her a bunch of units here and make sure that a lot of them are archers. And as you get more and more armies and more powerful, more and more people will respect you. You can go to the diplomacy screen. And for people that love you, just absolutely love you like this, you can then propose
all are given a fair hearing in the Phoenix
to join their confederation, and this will absorb them into your faction and make you larger and larger without having to do war on them. And right now they ain't gonna do it.
I think not.
No. Is you need some pretty good relations with them. You're probably going to need 120 higher than that probably or something for them to join your confederation. But that's how you do it. And you can continue to manipulate them through the intrigue, gaining influence like that. And there's lots of buildings that allow you to do that. So once you have this whole island, then you want to continue, attack and basically dominate the new world. It's the new world instead of the old world. The old world was the last game. It's over here. I just can't wait for the whole fucking map to be made up in Mortal Empires. Is gonna be fucking awesome, guys. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that this sort of helps you along and makes this game less intimidating, and that you give it a try. All right, guys? I will see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.